Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Stylosa, and today we're going to talk about Overwatch 2 receiving more Mercy-style heroes and the Junker Queen. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Alright then, so let's start with the Mercy thing. So Jeff Goodman was interviewed and this is what he said. We want to make sure there are more ways to express your skill than just aiming. Mercy was a really early example. He said, explaining how he personally disagrees with those who think she's a low-skill hero. There is so much skill that goes into positioning yourself well and deciding when to res. Lately, especially on the support side, we've been talking about adding more Mercy style of less aim-focused heroes. Some of our more popular supports like Zenyatta and Ana are very aim-focused, but we started thinking maybe we need more of a pure Mercy style. Right, okay. Let's get this out of the way. Mercy is not a low-skill hero. She's a hero that requires a ton, and I mean an absolute ton, of just awareness. If you Guardian Angel to somebody, are you going to put yourself in danger? Will Guardian Angeling to that person over there give you a better view of the battlefield over here? There's all these things you have to think about, and here's the kicker. In Overwatch 2, it's a lot more difficult for Mercy to play, just because it's 5v5 now, so there's one less player in the mix. But everyone's generally a lot more mobile. So Mercy needs to really be hyper aware, taking that picture. It's almost like she needs to take in a strategic overview of everything that's going on. Then she needs to perform triage. She has to look at where she needs to go to heal. Yes, she's got res, which is obviously a really powerful ability, but she's going between damage boosting and healing, trying to get to targets that need rapid healing because maybe they're getting pushed or they're further away or the other support can't get to them. There's all these other different things that Mercy has to take into consideration. So it's not a low skill ceiling or skill cap or just a low skill hero. Now here's the thing. They are reworking Moira. I believe they intend to give Moira a type of crowd control ability that doesn't hard CC, but instead it stops you doing damage and it stops you receiving healing, or it massively reduces both of those. And it's a skill shot, so there is aim required, but Moira still goes about her general Moira stuff in the same kind of way. This will of course get confirmed when the Beta 2 rolls out next week. However, that is the key thing. Blizzard are reworking heroes where you get a lot of value from something which is kind of a low skill thing to pull off. Now, this is where we've got to be very careful here. So what do I mean by this? Well, Moira, if you go into a game with Moira on Overwatch right now and you just yeet a healing orb and you just spray your magical healing piss everywhere, it's beautiful, right? You're doing tons of stuff, you're putting out loads of healing. Now you put Mercy in that scenario. Well, Mercy would have to dive straight into the action. She's pumping her healing into people. She's probably looking around. She's probably doing super jump. She's probably trying to find her exit and, in case things go bad. Oh God, maybe another target needs healing. Oh God, maybe I can res that, maybe I can't. Moira though, just goes into the fight, does whatever she wants. Oh no, she's getting pressured. Presses one button and fades away. There's a lot more value in Moira. Now, that's a very simplistic example because Moira is generally a closer range, sort of AoE big impact healer. She's got burst healing, whereas where is Mercy's burst healing? She doesn't have that, but she has res, and so it's a very loose example. But what I'm saying is you just press buttons. I guess actually Batiste is probably a better example. If you give a hero an ability which they simply press and it denies players from dying or it denies the enemy from playing the game, it's not great. Batiste throws down Lamp, and I know Lamp constantly is being looked at and not redeveloped, but it's being balanced all the time. That's thrown down and you basically do not die. And that's really strong, obviously, because you just throw it on the floor and go, well, I don't die now. I just pressed a button. Instead of some sort of skill combo required to keep yourself alive, in most cases would be, maybe not dying to that tracer that's trying to take you out, or don't put yourself in a silly position where you're, I don't know, maybe inside a grav and a Dragon Blade's coming to, a Dragon Blade, a Dragon Strike, anything's coming towards you. But again, these are loose examples. But what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is Blizzard are trying to add the ability to pop off into heroes that maybe don't have that ability. Moira is obviously the one that's getting looked at for this beta. However, if they add new heroes and they want them to be Mercy-style heroes, and I think all Jeff Goodman is saying when he talks about Mercy-style heroes is just doesn't rely on aim. So that would be a hero, let's say Brig. We know we've had problems with Brig in the past, but let's just say Brig. She doesn't really need aim. Now, she does need to look in the direction of people she wants to put a ranged repair pack heal on, but she doesn't really need to aim as such. Yeah, she does kind of need to aim whip shot, but most things that she doesn't really need aim. Mercy's the same, right? You just need to be aware of where you are. Batiste obviously is a bit different because, you need to aim actually with your weapon. Ana is the complete other end of the scale where if you can't aim, then you're just not going to heal anyone and everyone's going to die, and that's not going to feel great, is it? So there's all these things to consider. But I think the long and short of this kind of point of view is there is definitely a space for heroes that do not require aim in Overwatch to be effective. Now, that can never probably ever be a DPS hero. You can probably throw Junkrat at me and go, well, Sty, what about Junkrat? You're just spamming into a choke, or even Hanzo. But even they have to aim to some extent. They're not there and they just affect the game by simply being there, and they've got abilities they can press and activate that will change the course of fights. Supports in the past have suffered from that a little bit. Tanks as well, maybe. But I'd kind of end this section of the video with this. Think about how beloved the heroes are in Overwatch. Who would you say are, if you stopped somebody on the street and went, did you play Overwatch, or have you played Overwatch? And they went, yeah. Name me a tank hero. They'd probably say Reinhardt to you, right? For supports, they probably would say Mercy. Maybe they'd even say Winston. Now, okay, I'm cherry picking these answers because the point I'm trying to get across is none of those rely on aim. They just rely on positioning, situational awareness, strategic ability, the ability to read Overwatch game sense. That's what those heroes rely on. Whereas other heroes, if they're more aim heavy, they can kind of forget a little bit about the Overwatch game sense aspect. Well, obviously, if you're a Widowmaker player and you've got tons of game sense and amazing aim, you're still going to do very well because you're probably going to know when it's time to swap off the hero. But yeah, I think this is a good thing, honestly. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I don't think we should ever really look at this as a bad thing, that Mercy-style heroes, support heroes, are probably going to come in the future, because I'm all for that. But the key thing here is Blizzard gives those heroes a way to pop off that isn't simply throwing a lamp down like Batiste or just selecting Brig as it used to be in the past. It's not like that anymore, but in the past it very much was, and that's not great design. Doesn't feel great, right? Blizzard always likes to talk about they want you to feel great playing the hero. They also want the person you're killing to feel great as well, or not feel, I guess, robbed. Like, oh my god, this is terrible. I've been destroyed and I hate it. So they're always trying to fight with that. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Would you like to see more Mercy-style heroes? I mean, I guess all Blizzard need to do if they want to sell battle passes or skins or whatever is just put Mercy's twin sister in the game. Evil Mercy. Can you imagine it? I think the internet would go crazy. All right, let's go and take a look at this Junker Queen blog. So this gives us a bit more detail as to her abilities, although I'm pretty happy with the way I broke down the abilities in the video I put out yesterday, because they've pretty much just confirmed a lot of this. So we're going to go through it anyway, because it's a new bit of Overwatch news, so let's do this. A kit fit for a queen, an inside look at Her Majesty, the Junker Queen. Junker Queen joins the Overwatch 2 roster as the newest tank hero with a big axe and even bigger ideas. As we saw in the Wastelander cinematic, the Scrapyard Sovereign is a fierce, resourceful, and no stranger to survival. And now she comes to claim her rightful throne. Junker Queen's playstyle and kit were built from her pre-existing Overwatch lore. The Junkertown map showcases her tough, almost brutal personality, and we wanted her abilities and playstyle to match that energy. This type of design, constructing a character's kit to match their established identity, is called top-down design. Junker Queen was in Overwatch's narrative well before we had a design for her, which meant she had a big community expectations resting on her stately soldiers. Now, as she steps out of the lore and into the light, good lord, let's jump into the design of her kit and check out how you can expect her to play. Adrenaline Rush and Scattergun. Adrenaline Rush is the cornerstone to Junker Queen's identity as a tank. The passive ability heals her from all damage over time dealt by wounds. Many of her abilities apply wounds that cause enemies to slowly drain health. This lifesteal ability adds to her survivability and aggression. Pushing the boundaries of brawling, Junker Queen feels more like a berserker tank whose survivability is directly connected to how many enemies she's wounding. This passive ability allows her to lead her team into battle and soak up enemy fire. All of Junker Queen's abilities encourage her to get up close and personal with her enemies, so we equipped her with a primary fire that fits her playstyle. Scattergun is a pump-action shotgun with a small spread that makes it extra scary at short range. Adrenaline Rush and Scattergun both encourage her to play into enemies while giving her the ability, or the survivability, she needs to make space for her team and to fulfill her tank role. Carnage. Junker Queen's character has always been depicted with an axe. So that was the starting point for her design. Carnage consists of a big sweeping swing that wounds all enemies in front of her, dealing damage to them over time. Junker Queen refers to her axe as Carnage, further inspiring the importance of this ability in her kit. We thought her axe might work as her primary weapon, but historically making a melee hero in Overwatch has come with its own set of challenges. For example, Genji's Dragon Blade used to be his primary weapon, but didn't translate well in game. In the end, it was transformed into the powerful ultimate that players know today. We don't want to take Junker Queen down a similar path, so we incorporated her axe into this ability. The original iteration of Carnage enabled her to throw her axe following the initial swing before recalling it back to herself with a magnetic gauntlet. However, when implemented, the practice of throwing her axe felt wrong. It led to a rigid playstyle that didn't allow for the use of the other axe-based abilities while her weapon was out of hand. So the throw was swapped to a slash with a damage over time effect. The concept of throwing and recalling her weapon eventually led to her next ability, Jagged Blade. Jagged Blade is a Junker Queen's secondary fire and comes with both active and passive abilities. The active ability triggers when you press secondary fire, causing her to throw the knife in her offhand. Her knife, which the Queen calls Gracie, applies a wound which can cause damage over time if she lands a direct hit on an enemy. Her magnetic gauntlet can recall the knife by reactivating secondary fire. Recalling Gracie will pull any enemies that have been directly hit or happen to find themselves in the knife's recall path into Junker Queen. Be wary of your surroundings. If you're stuck by Gracie, you're heading straight for the Queen. Jagged Blade isn't the first time the team has experimented with a throwing weapon. When Reinhardt was first prototyped, he was able to throw his hammer into the enemy team, an ability that was cool in theory but awkward in practice, requiring him to go pick up his hammer and defend his team any time he threw it. Despite not making it into Reinhardt's final kit, this prototype ability heavily inspired Jagged Blade. Throwing a weapon made more sense for Junker Queen, who possesses a special magnetic gauntlet that she can use to pull things around her. We didn't want the gauntlet to make her feel too magey or similar to Sigma, who can lift people up and throw them around. Instead, Junker Queen uses her magnetic powers to control her axe and knife as a vicious means to serve her brutal end. To make her even more intimidating close up, Jagged Blade's passive ability wounds enemies when using quick melee when the knife is in her hands. These abilities that apply wounds all serve her life leech passive Adrenaline Rush. Commanding Shout. To enhance her tankiness, Junker Queen is equipped with Commanding Shout, an ability that heightens her own survivability while also helping her teammates around her, increasing the health and movement speed of both herself and any nearby allies. As the first team movement speed buff since Lucio, Commanding Shout helps Junker Queen close the gap between her and the enemy team. Her ability to close distance was designed with a movement speed buff rather than something sneaky like a short dash or teleport. This helps reinforce her nature as someone who sprints headfast into battle with a booming roar. She brute forces her way through the opposition with relentless aggression that demands space. It furthers her effectiveness to take charge and lead her team into battle through tight choke points or against flanking enemies. Like Commanding Shout, Junker Queen's ultimate ability charges her into the fray. Rampage is Junker Queen's ultimate. It charges her forward, grievously wounds enemies, and prevents them from healing. It is the first ability since Ana's Bartic Grenade to apply an anti-heal. Paired with Adrenaline Rush, Rampage is one of the Junker Queen's strongest survival assets. It applies a deadly wound to anyone in its path, giving her the potential to restore a significant amount of health with Adrenaline Rush, depending on the number of wounds she manages to apply. Initially, her ultimate was spinning whirlwind type ability, but we wanted to incorporate her magnetic gauntlet into her ultimate ability. We didn't want it to feel elegant or magic influenced either, because it didn't align well conceptually with character. So we tried to push her magnetic gauntlet to its limits. Rampage charges her gauntlet and creates a cloud with her knife and axe around her as she charges into the enemy team. It's a display of raw, visceral power she possesses as the Queen. A new Queen born to rule. Junker Queen was built for Overwatch 2's 5v5 playing field. She has an unparalleled ability to claim space, and she's terrifying to deal with up close. She's brawly, towing the line of a berserker tank, and we were cognizant of that in this new tank paradigm. Tanks play more aggressively in Overwatch 2. And Junker Queen is certainly no exception. In fact, she'd consider herself the rule. We're excited to see players rampage through the upcoming base with our newest tank. So yeah, Junker Queen. I mean, I covered Junker Queen in the video that went out yesterday with some of the abilities. Well, obviously with the abilities, because as Blizzard launched them or released the info on them. I think with Junker Queen, it's going to be a case of she is a tank with... it's like she doesn't have any way to prevent damage. She can increase survivability of her allies. I think she gives them 100 health with Command and Shout and makes them move faster. But beyond that, she doesn't really have any way to stop damage. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works. I think we may see a world where Junker Queen is just used in rush comps. So you'd be like Junker Queen, Reaper, maybe I mean, you could probably insert any other kind of DPS you want. Let's go with like a Cassidy or something, but you could put almost anything in that role. Maybe a soldier, maybe a Sojourn, whatever you wanted. But then for your supports, you would obviously go Brig and probably Moira if the Moira rework is really strong, or maybe we see Anna and Brig, or maybe even Anna and Lucio. But you've kind of got the speed boost now, so does Lucio become redundant? It's all interesting, isn't it? We'll find out when the beta drops on the 28th. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. It has been my pleasure as ever, and I will catch you lovely lot on the next one. Oh, remember, if you do enjoy the video and want to support the channel and support me and all that stuff, just like the video, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you like the videos, of course. And yeah, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.